Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Brunswick's Best, where Lance takes a look at the greatest players in Minnesota Vikings history in numerical fashion. Tonight, looking at those who wore the number 32. I'm guessing there's quite a list for this number, so why don't you lay it there, Lance?
Well, should we kick her off? Should we get her started?
Let's get it going.
I actually like the number 32. I figured there would actually be somebody on our team that wore it that had some prominence, but it's been pretty much a group of backup running backs that have worn this number for the Vikings, and a good group of backup running backs to say the least. But I'm a big fan of the number. I know there's been some Hall of Famers out there that have worn the number 32. I think Walter Payton wore 32, didn't he?
Well, Peyton's 34.
34. Okay. Well, anyways, regardless. Brunswick's Best, number 32. We'll get it started.
Marcus Allen was 32.
There you go.
He didn't play with the Vikings, though, although we could have drafted him, but we drafted Darren Nelson instead. So
get a little bit of knowledge there. Absolutely. All right. So we'll kick off the list with none other than Oscar Reed. He played for the Vikings from 1968 till 1964. That doesn't make sense. He played
1968 till 64. Okay,
right. He actually played back in reverse in time. Yeah, no.
He's the Benjamin Button of the Minnesota Vikings.
That's why he's on the list. No.
Right.
Okay. So Oscar Reed played for the Vikings from 68 until 74. That sounds much better. Yeah. Making him the player that wore the number the longest in the Vikings history. Reed played for the Vikings for 7 seasons, but only started 29 of his 79 career games as a member of the team. In those 7 seasons, he rushed for 1,968 yards and 8 touchdowns, and also added 676 yards and 3 scores on 92 career catches. He moved on to play for the Atlanta Falcons for 1 season before hanging it up for good. Moving right along to none other than Amp Lee. Lee was never known much for his running, but he was an outstanding weapon out of the backfield, to say the least, as a receiver. In his 3 seasons with the Vikings, he averaged about 57 catches a season, including a 71 catch campaign in 1995. He had more than twice as many receiving yards in his Vikings tenure as he had rushing yards. And after his 3 seasons in Minnesota, he had stops in both St. Louis and Philadelphia before he left the league. Amp Lee, this week you make the list.
I kind of like me some Amp Lee, actually.
I did too. I like to be some Amp Lee too. And he was an innovator at his position at that time, between him and Roger Craig, kind of doing the same type of thing. Another running back who also played here at the tail end of his career, by the way.
Yeah. We will talk about here shortly. Not right. This week, but yeah.
Coming up here, yeah. Third and last mention on this list, other than the honorable mention that all of you just can't wait for, I'm sure. But anyways, third on the list, Toby Gerhart. He wore the number for the team from 2010 until 2013. Gerhart proved to be a pretty capable backup option for Adrian Peterson when he was called upon, and managed to parlay that into a big free agent contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars, after which he promptly fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah, still, he did nothing after that.
No,
yeah.
He did do nothing afterwards, and I expected much more out of him after he left, but that wasn't the case.
I was kind of upset that he left, honestly.
Yeah, he was a good backup, but then that opened the door for McKinnon to show up too. So, in his time here, still he did average 4.7 yards a carry, sitting behind the best running back of his generation, and gave us a couple of memorable moments, at least. And that concludes the list, the main list. And now I have an honorary mention, of course, and that is none other than Ontario, the Whizzinator Smith.
Steal of the draft.
Yeah, the steal of the draft. Smith actually showed some decent ability. I liked Ontario Smith. I think he was the best out of that stable of backs that we had at that time, honestly. And I was a firm believer that he should have been the starter. But with all of his off-field antics and what have you, he never really got that chance. And he kind of played himself out of the league.
He was kind of a whiz there for a while.
Yeah, he was kind of a whiz, wasn't he?
An innovator, so kind of a whizzinator, I guess.
Kind of, yeah. Wow. Now, Smith actually showed some decent ability as a running back in his 2 seasons in Minnesota. But then, well, We know what happened. It would have been interesting to see how Smith could have developed had he given himself the opportunity to do so. And with that being said, that concludes this week's episode of Brunswick's Best.
No mention of Ty Chandler?
Ty Chandler, yes. Also a great running back. I guess I don't, yeah, this is somebody I completely missed out on, but he's definitely worth an honorable mention. He hasn't done much. He's only been here a couple of years. Though at the end of this season, he did add a spark in the running game to this offense that we have here. I mean, yeah, Ty Chandler's been here 2 years. I left him off the list, but since you mentioned him, I'll put him in as an honorable mention as well.
I just threw it in because it's only a 5-minute episode, so a couple extra seconds.
Taking control. No, but
that's why I'm producing.
That is why you produce. With that being said, Ty Chandler, you make the list as an honorary mention tonight. And that concludes this week's Brunswick's Best.
All right. Thank you, everybody, again for watching. Make sure you tune in. Special time this week, Saturday night, 6 p.m. Brunswick and I will be going live once again. So come with your comments, come with your questions, come with your statements. And we'll have a lot to talk about. Bring it in. We'll talk it. We'll discuss it. It's going to be some quarterback talk, I'm sure. Going to be some other talk back and forth. Scouting combines coming up very quickly here. So things are going to get fun. Things are going to get dicey. So with that, stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you Saturday.
Skull.